Welcome back to the channel, guys. What I want to do today is really just keep it on nutrition and talk specifically about how to fuel yourself for these multi-day events. I'm going to ask Jesse about it. We're going to talk about, recovery type things, in-race stuff. Let's kick it off with what to bring to this event and how to start your fueling.
Because on a single day event where it's going to be going full gas from start gate, VO2 max, you're trying to make your group, that's where you're going to need that higher GI, lower fat, lower protein, pretty much just carb breakfast, like a bowl of cereal. But for a multi-day event like this, where you're not going as full gas from the start, it's a bit more of a right into it, you're doing day after day after day, I would say breakfast-wise, you probably aim for something with higher fat and higher protein to keep you satiated throughout the ride. Because if you get up on these events and you just have your bowl of cereal, sure, you might feel good in the first 30 minutes, but you're just gonna be getting hungry again into the ride. So consider eggs, more milk, things like that, anything with more fat and more protein at your breakfast to keep you satiated throughout the day, because you're gonna be on the bike for hours on these things. You're just gonna have to be better prepared planning-wise, because I think we all know when we did the original Letap Australia, you finished in Jindabyne, you go to the pub, you spend 3 or 4 hours milling around and maybe you don't eat anything after the event. And then the next day you really feel like crap. So I would say nutrition wise, you just have to be more planned, whether you're having some carbohydrate protein like a recovery drink, or if you're having an extra bottle of mix even, like you really need to refuel on the carbohydrates after the ride. So I don't know, maybe you pour an extra bottle of mix and you have that on the finish line ready to go.
Ride's finished now, but on a multi-day event, it doesn't end here. You can't just sort of forget about it and just go on about your day. With these multi-day events, you have to keep getting the fuel in. So right now, I have got some up and goes that I'll have. I'll also keep sipping on some mix, getting the carbs continuing to come in, and that'll mean better glycogen restoration and better performance the next day. Not only better performance, but you'll feel better the next day as well.
3 products I'm gonna chat about. The first one would be like a specific sports drink, like this Infinite Nutrition Custom Blend. This has 90 grams of carbs per serve, so this would be per bottle. And for someone like Chris, throughout his rides on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, he might be trying to do 1 serve or 1 bottle per hour, which would be about 90 grams of carbs. The good thing about a product like Infinite here is when you're looking at whatever carbohydrates you're using, whether that's Infinite sports drink or even like sugar, make sure there is some glucose and fructose in it, so that way your body is able to actually absorb what you're taking in. You're not just dumping in pure glucose. The other important thing would be electrolytes on a multi-day event. Cramping is real. Electrolytes, particularly magnesium, will help with this. So the good thing about using like a sports drink like this Infinite one over pure sugar is you're going to be getting electrolytes in. This one has magnesium in it, which a lot of people do find helps a lot with cramping.
My parents have just bought a fruit dehydrator, and they have dehydrated kiwi fruits and mangoes.
So we worked out that 5 pieces of the kiwi fruit dehydrated, which isn't that much, they're quite thin, they're very easy to eat. That would be around 50 grams of carbohydrates. As an example, you could have 5 of those per hour, then have some mix from your bottles. That would easily get you up to around 80 or 90 grams of carbohydrates per hour, which would hit the fueling target. The only thing I would say though would be the fiber in these fruits, which if your stomach can tolerate would be good. But especially over, so for the Friday, the gravel ride where you're doing the 30K, if you're doing that distance event, that would be fine. Over the longer events though, where you're doing 5-6 hours on the bike, that much fiber adding up hour on hour on hour, when you're getting into the 5th and 6th hour, you could start to see some stomach issues there. So just be aware. I would maybe use the fruit, then maybe swap to more of like a solid food that has less fiber in it, and then also combining that with your sports drink with your carbohydrates and your electrolytes. I like it as a training option, because especially if you're doing this multiple times a week, if you're able to replace some of that completely devoid of nutrition carbohydrate having with getting the same amount of carbs in, but with some nutrition that you're getting in the fruit, I think that's thumbs up. That's good to do training wise. For race day though, I would say just make sure if you're going to do like a higher fiber food that you've tried it out first, because you can be tough on the guts. For the 3 days that you're down here, try not to think too much about your health. What you're eating to fuel these 3, 4, 5 hour rides day after day is not going to be healthy in the classical sense. There's a job to be done, which is to make sure you're enjoying your rides, you're riding well, you're riding strong. Unfortunately, to get that amount of calories in, that amount of carbohydrates in, it's not going to be healthy. So you'll be relying on basically sugar, carbohydrate products like Infinite Mix, like mixes like that, sports drinks, plain sort of muesli bars, which don't have nearly any nutrition in them and things like that. And I think that's okay. Let the health go for a couple of days.
So all wrapped up, work tomorrow. I ideally don't want to be walking around like a zombie. So what I'll do now is I'll continue fueling almost as if I was going to ride tomorrow. So bringing in the electrolytes, stay hydrating, bringing in some more carbohydrates as well, more than I normally would on a normal day if I was going to have a rest day tomorrow. That'll mean my muscles will recover better for tomorrow and I will just feel better the next day, which makes the whole trip more enjoyable if you don't get back and feel like crap.
So I hope you enjoyed that. We covered a heap of bases, but I think the big takeaway is that your fueling doesn't stop at the end with these things. You have to really be conscious of it as it plays out throughout the whole 3, 4, 5 days, whatever it is. Guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like these videos. Absolutely love all this stuff that we're starting to get to do outside. Thanks again.